Okay. And so all those will be accessible to you all. If you ever want to refer back to them, or if you missed one of the sessions, they'll be right at your fingertips. In terms of schedule, we've got our last small group session coming up next week. For those of you who are done with your internships, do one thing for me. If you want to be a part of that small group session after you're done with your internship, make sure to get your alternate email address on the spreadsheet. I just sent out the link in the email. And we'll have our final wrap-up call Friday, August 13th, and we'll really kind of put a bow on this summer and hopefully provide you guys some parting words of inspiration to come back and join the flexible packaging industry full-time, whenever that might be. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Amy to introduce our speaker today.
All right. Thanks, Apurva. So we are so excited to have Ken with us today, Ken Swanson. He has a great message to share. So Ken joined Liquibox in 2013 as Chief Executive Officer, and he was previously Executive Vice President at Berry Global. Ken has over 30 years of experience in the packaging area, ranging from food and bev to medical and industrial. Ken has been a board member for board of directors of FPA since 2005 and served as chairman from 2015 to 2016. I think you're all going to really enjoy hearing Ken share his story and some inspiration today. So please jump in with questions or pop them in the chat, and we'll of course have some time for discussion at the end. Reminder to please turn your cameras on. And so, Ken, thank you so much for being with us today, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Apurva. I appreciate you guys having me today. Really excited about talking with you a little bit, and really want to do just a couple of things. As Amy said, I've been in packaging for forever. They call that a lifer, I think. So I've been around a long time here, seen a lot of different things, a lot of different companies, which I'll talk about here a little bit further. But you know, the things I'd like to do today is, number one, just make myself available as a resource to everybody here. If you have any questions about anything, if you're already in packaging, if you're not in packaging yet, but thinking about getting into packaging as you finish out your schooling or whatever, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to talk to you about my experience. Happy to give you some guidance if you're looking for that, and probably tell you a few stories about a few people that are in the industry today too, if we've got the time. So
Ken, I'm smiling because that you're a pretty biased source, I would say, which when they're making their decision, you got to have some really good polarized figures. And I think many of us would be that way. And then you've got to surround yourself with some people that are totally neutral and will give you guys some insight. But appreciate that. That is awesome. Thanks for making yourself available to the team here.
No problem. So I put together a few slides, guys, but we're not going to drone through a bunch of slides today. It's really to maybe spark some inspiration, as Amy said, about finding your purpose and passion in packaging, preferably, and along the way share a little bit about the company that I work for today called Liquibox. So we'll try to just do a couple of things. But feel free to ask questions along the way. This is meant to be an interactive discussion today. It's not going to be no test at the end, but for sure, hopefully we'll have a few interesting discussions as we go through it. So let's jump right in. So let me see if I can advance the slide. That would be good. There we go. So Amy gave my bio, but I thought I would just spend just a second talking a little bit about some of my experience. As you see here, I'm at Liquibox for a few years now. I was with Berry Global before that, and was with a company called Pliant Corporation before that. But my career has really been working for companies that have been acquiring other businesses throughout the industry or have been acquired. So I've been on both sides of the fence, big and small companies. And it's been a really exciting journey. So I would say that as you look around the flexible packaging industry and our association, you see a lot of folks that have worked for a lot of the same companies. Pliant, as an example, as I mentioned, was a company that was an exciting business to be a part of it was, and you see sort of an alumni or alumnus from Pliant around our industry, all leading top packaging companies today. So we have a lot of folks from Pliant days on the board of directors. We have a lot of folks that are CEOs of companies. So it was a pretty exciting time. And I think, Apurva, you just asked me recently, what was it that sort of incubated you guys from getting out and running companies and doing things? And I thought about it for a minute, and really it brought me back to a commencement speech that you should all watch. I don't know if you've heard of Admiral McRaven. You might have heard that name. If you have not heard of Admiral McRaven, he went through Naval SEAL training and was a Naval SEAL and then became an admiral. But your first homework assignment for the day, write down Admiral McRaven, University of Texas commencement speech. I promise you that 10 or 15 minutes you'll spend watching his speech will be absolutely well worth the time. And I can tell you that, my kids are tired of hearing me talk about this speech, among other things, that really sort of brought me back to the days at Pliant. And the best, he says something in the speech, he says, "We were constantly harassed by professional trained warriors, seeking to find those that can lead under constant stress, chaos, failure, and hardships. A lifetime of challenges crammed into a very short period of time." I think in that case, it was 6 months. So when I look back at my days at Pliant, to me, it was a lifetime of challenges crammed into just a few years. And at the time when we were going through multiple Chapter 11 processes, the business was struggling as $1 billion business in packaging. We had a lot of challenges. We had a lot of struggles. We didn't have COVID-19, but we had a lot of other things going on in the business. And in the end, I learned a lot, probably more in a year's time or a couple of years' time than I did in most of my career. So I guess the takeaway here is that, take advantage of every opportunity that you have. I know that you're just coming off some internship opportunities here. Maybe you saw some things you liked and maybe you saw some things you didn't like, but learn something from every experience you have, because it will become useful in the future. And I see that with my peers now, all running different companies and what we would call changing the world. And Admiral McRaven does a great job of explaining what it takes to change the world from a Navy SEAL standpoint. So I'll leave you with, go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it.
Hey, Ken, I just wanted to comment and kind of echo
Quinn.
As an intern and those days of Pliant, I can tell you that that my internship experience and the things that I learned and the we'll call them the intern beatings that I got had really shaped. And I would tell you that that the career that I'm in today, or the role that I'm in today, is probably 100% due to the fact of how much I enjoyed my time at Pliant, and it's been awesome to see you and others from my days at Pliant still flourishing. So just
I appreciate
echo and
I appreciate those comments. I'd forgotten. I'd forgotten you were there. How could I forget? But it was an interesting time. So well, have you watched the Admiral McRaven speech?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Well, maybe it'll take you back to the Pliant days, but you're right. It'll definitely shape you if you get into some of those experiences. So that's great. Good. And look how you turned out. Well, let's talk a little bit about the company I work for, Liquibox. We won't spend a whole lot of time on Liquibox today, but just a few things I want to tell you about the company. We're an employer of about 1,500 people. We have 19 integrated sites on 5 different continents. About 50% of our business is in North America. The other 50% is outside of North America, headquartered in Richmond. What we do is value-added packaging for liquid products, virtually any liquid products, from water to motor oil to wine. I'm sure you've seen a bag-in-box package at some point in time. if you've bought wine, in a grocery store, or if you've gone to a quick service restaurant and had a fountain beverage out of the fountain there, that's all being delivered by this type of a package. And there's a lot of innovation going on in the industry and in the business, which I'll talk about a little bit further, that we're really, really excited about it. We're in a unique position here at the company that we can deliver a product that we think can really lower the supply chain costs, but also make a positive impact to the environment. So really excited about that. We've been given some awards, but we're excited about kind of where the company's going. So I'll talk a little bit about what we do at the company here in a minute. So let me just keep going there. So what does work look like? If you had to kind of close your eyes and think about it, or maybe some things that you've seen or are seeing, you may picture an environment like this. Bunch of cubicles, pretty boring, traditional environment, and I would argue, and maybe even the packaging industry, you think of it that way, or you thought of it that way, or maybe still think of it, as I don't know if it's an industry that's exciting or I want to be a part of. And I can tell you that, and I would suggest and challenge that there's probably more innovation going on in packaging today than at Apple. Apple's making a few tweaks to an iPhone. That's great. We're doing so much more. All you got to do is go into a grocery store and walk the aisles of the grocery store, and you'll see some pretty amazing stuff that has really happened in the last 10 years in the business. So we're going to talk a little bit about being purpose-driven as an individual, but also what it means to be a purpose-driven company. And I would tell you, it doesn't matter if you're purpose-driven and you're working for a purpose-driven business. It doesn't matter where you work. You can work in a cubicle. You can work at your home remotely. You can work, in your car. It doesn't matter. If you're excited about it and you have the right elements, man, it's really a powerful thing. So don't get caught up in where the work environment is. I know recently, as we hire folks coming into the workforce, one of the questions that's coming up a lot now is, well, do I have to go into an office? And, I would say maybe, maybe not, depending on the role. But don't let that get in the way, folks. I would just tell you, let that sort of come as where the best place is for you to work, to drive results and drive production. And I think you'll find the right place. Okay, so I said purpose-driven company. How are purpose-driven companies different? So employees want to work, I think it goes without saying, for companies that stand for and take action on something bigger than their products and services. So McKinsey did a study, and in the bottom right, I thought it was interesting to see some of these numbers. If you look in the bottom right here, not surprising, 82% of the respondents said it's important to have a purpose. 72% of the people said purpose should receive more weight than profit. That was interesting to me, but okay, I get it. 62%, more than half, say their organizations have a purpose statement. That didn't surprise me. Less than half, though, say that the organization's purpose statements, their organization's purpose statements drive impact. So in other words, they're saying less than half are saying that those statements are actually driving impact in the business. So I put up a couple of companies here that you would recognize, like Apple and Disney and Google and Microsoft, and their purpose statements, or their mission statements, or their vision statements that pretty much all companies have today. And as you read these, like Apple, to challenge the status quo, Disney, to create happiness, right? To empower every person at Microsoft. What you'll see here is, while those are interesting, those don't say anything or describe anything about what they do. It's all about why they do it. And so I would suggest that, the companies that you're looking at or are working for today, should be driving towards a purpose of why you're doing what you're doing. There's always the what you do, for sure, and we're going to talk about that, but it should be important that you're doing things for a reason, and it's purpose driven, and really you ought to have a purpose in everything that you do. Okay, so having said that, I don't know if I can see hands go up on this, but how many people have heard of the Golden Circle or Simon Sinek? A few of you? Okay, I see some hands. That's great. So if you haven't heard of Simon Sinek, he's another one I would suggest you Google. And he has an interesting explanation or way of talking about finding your why and starting with why, not ending with why. And talks a little bit about the golden circle, the clarity of why, the discipline of how, the consistency of what, the products that you sell. We spend a lot of time at Liquibox really confirming our why. Why is it we're doing this? Why is it we're doing that? Is it consistent with what we all agree we're trying to accomplish at the business? Not so much the what. The what is the packaging we're producing to get to that why statement. The how, we're going to talk about, what Liquibox's how is. It's sort of the process, the formula to get to achieving that why. But I thought I'd put this in there because if you haven't seen it or haven't heard Simon talk about it, I would encourage you to go do that. I think maybe it'll inspire you to just think differently about your career, maybe perhaps, or the companies that might be of interest to you. So next, so talking about why, we saw a few why statements and purpose statements from some companies that you recognize. I wanted to share with you the Liquibox why and a little bit about the meaning behind the word. So it's pretty simple for us, right? To inspire change so that we create a more sustainable future. Pretty simple. Doesn't say anything about bag-in-box packaging. However, we're doing a lot in bag-in-box packaging to inspire change and to create a safer and more sustainable future. And I would add to that by accelerating innovation in the packaging space, by accelerating the way that packaging is used today to not only make life easier, better, but become a better steward for our planet. And there's a lot of things we can do there. And like I said, the world absolutely needs packaging, flexible, rigid, whatever it is. It's, how do we inspire people though to use that in the right way? How do we inspire companies to continue to drive innovation in their space? So the how in that circle for Liquibox, a little bit about that. So a lot of stuff on this page. I'm not going to go through everything here, but this is how we get it done on a day-to-day basis. This is what we would call our Liquibox formula. Every company has a formula, what they do to really achieve, making their products and delivering to their purpose or their why statements or their vision or values in the company. And you'll see the graphic on the left. Like I said, there's a lot there. We try to get it all on one page, but it really starts with leadership, aligning everybody in the business, and really getting to a transformational day-to-day process. And it really comes from, for us, driving the culture in the business and using things like standardized systems and tools, like daily management. We use a lot of lean tools in our business. And we do a lot of Kaizen events and we do those sorts of things. But those are all things a lot of companies do. It's the how, we kind of call how the sausage is made in the business. But to me, it's less important as, how we make the sausages. Is it delivering the results? Is it delivering the impact that we want? And we simply use the words challenge it, build it, solve it, own it, and drive it. And we ask ourselves questions internally a lot about, hey, is this project meeting the why? But is it also, is it making things better? Are we tackling problems the way that we should be tackling problems? Are we getting the results, right? Did we make great things happen by doing this? Or are we going to make great things happen by doing this? So I don't know if there's any questions on that. I won't spend a lot of time there, but we call this our Liquibox business system, LBS, within the company. And pretty much goes up every time we want to drive a new innovation or a new project in the company to just keep it in front of us. Are we doing the things we're supposed to be doing? And if we're not, the project gets abandoned and we move on. We don't have enough time to do everything for everybody. All right,
Ken,
so
could you talk a little bit, and maybe I'm jumping the gun,
go
a
ahead.
little bit of culture as it relates to this kind of approach? I mean, you guys had a pretty transformational merger acquisition, right? And how you tackled blending two very different cultures together with probably similar desires to be the best in the industry and continuous improvement.
Yeah, it's a great question. First thing we did was we brought everybody together and we talked about why we're doing what we're doing. So this is pretty relevant here when I talk about our why and our purpose statement. And, that was the first thing that went up on the board. Here's what we're trying to achieve. Here's why we exist. Does everybody agree with that? Number one. And then we kind of take it from there, Purva, and we align everybody correctly. Just sort of the practical part of that is at Liquibox, not everybody does it this way, but we get everybody on a standard way of talking to each other. So whether it's a standard ERP system, whether it's a standard lean, tools that we're using to solve problems or whatever it might be, we quickly want everybody to be talking the same language and making sure everybody understands, hey, look, here's what we're trying to do. And what does success look like? And then we sort of launch that into, okay, let's do that. And if there's some things that are, hey, does that mean we still do this or we still do that? Or, because it does come with a lot of plant optimization, consolidation activities and things like that. And it has to be really clear to everyone in the organization why you're making those moves, good and bad, right? I mean, hopefully they're all good, but it has to be clear to everybody in the organization. And so, again, just sort of practically how we do it is we have town hall meetings with everybody in the organization on a very regular basis. And we share everything about the financials and what's going on in the business. And so it's very transparent to everybody in the organization. It shouldn't be a surprise as to how we're performing, what we're working on from an innovation standpoint, where we're spending our money, our CapEx dollars, where we're investing in the business. And we open it up for questions. And not all those questions, sometimes those questions come over and say, hey, wait a second, are you going to pay me a bonus next month? There's some great stuff that comes out of those things. And I love those meetings. And that sort of creates a culture of trust. And trust isn't something, we take lightly. It's something that has to be earned. And I think it has to be earned by having those transparent meetings and by sharing, every gruesome detail about how the company is doing with the organization. And we solicit help. Let me give you an example about our culture that's going on right now. So in this country, in the United States, there's a crunch on labor, right? If you haven't heard that, you probably haven't been out of your house in the last few months. But we're struggling like every other company right now to hire labor, the amount of labor we need to run our packaging equipment, put bags in a box, to make it simple. And we're competing with other companies for similar labor. So we've done a lot of things like raise minimum wages and incentive bonuses and all those things like a lot of companies are doing and a lot of packaging companies are doing today for people in the manufacturing plants and in the warehouses. And that's great. And I think that's we've had some success for both sides. I think people are making a little bit more money, which is great. I also think it's an opportunity for us to bring in some people at a different level in the organization. So all that's going on, but the reason I kind of go through that is because we are also at Liquibox have asked all of our salaried personnel in North America to sign up for 1 week to pack bags or to do something in a warehouse, and so we put together a sheet as an example of all of the shifts that are available in our manufacturing plants that are open, that we need more help. We need more labor because we have a lot of lines that in this case aren't running at full capacity. Not a lot, but some. And if we had more people, we could run more and we can service more businesses. The demand is very strong for us right now. And so what's great about our culture is, as we asked our salaried folks, how about spending a week in a plant working second shift or third shift, maybe, you know, from 11 to 7 in the morning, and putting bags in a box for you know, the last week in August or the second week in August. And I got to tell you, the culture around the business, people cannot wait to get in there and do those sorts of things. In fact, we've had a lot of people say, can I bring my wife or my husband, or can I bring my oldest son or daughter that's over 18 years old to help me? Would love to have them get that experience of being in a plant and working side by side with some of the guys that are making it happen. So I know it's a long-winded answer to your question, but that's how I see, when I see stuff like that happen, I know we're doing the right things from a culture standpoint.
I love that. That's awesome. I'll really looking forward to hearing how that goes.
I'll send you a picture of me putting bags in a box next week. Hopefully the quality's good. We're having to actually add some quality people, I think, to the floor to make sure that things don't get too crazy. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So as I just talked about the how, the formula, the sausage making, you know, what does that yield? What are the results of that? Are we making an impact? And every company needs to make an impact. You know, if you're working on stuff, you got to have something at the end of that to say, did we win or did we lose today? And, you know, I just put this example up because it's a recent example of a package that we've been working on for a while. There's multiple components to this. As I said before, you know, our products are like a bag inside of a bag. Most of them are laminated structures using nylon and metallized materials, or used to use a lot of metallized materials. And we've worked hard to create a product that's more coax structure driven, removing nylon, removing the metallized piece to get to a mono you know, structure, as a lot of you or all of you probably know now, right? We're driving towards a more sustainable future here. And so we're really trying to get more product from going directly into the landfill, at least getting it into a recycling stream, you know, and getting it to a curbside situation at some point. But, you know, really trying to help avoid the landfill as best as we can and do our part here. And also, you know, more and more products are getting delivered directly to your home in an e-commerce channel. And so we've been able to do a couple things here with this package, which is one, this happens to be a water, a bag and box water product. And so there's water going into this bag, and it doesn't have any, you know, it's all monostructure materials. So there's no nylon in there, no metallized materials in there. It has the barrier it needs. It has the strength it needs. And with this box and this fitment that you see at the bottom, dispensing tap, which comes out of a perforated tab on the box, so that doesn't stick out until you get it to your door. But you can ship this now directly from the producer to your home. There's no additional packaging in the box. You know, so today, if you were to order, as an example, you know, 24 bottles of water or motor oil or olive oil or any of those things that might be in a package to your door, it typically will come in a box within a box. And then between those two boxes, you have a bunch of other packaging in that box, whether it's paper or other kinds of plastic or that kind of thing. So in this case, we've been able to get to a point where now these things can be delivered directly. You pop that tap out of the bottom, you put it in your refrigerator, and now you have clean water, you know, or wine, or, you know, whatever the product is that you might want to ship in this way. Or maybe maybe it goes to a big box store and it's sitting on the shelf and you can put it in your cart and those kinds of things. So we're pretty excited about some of the innovations that we've been doing at Liquibox, all driven by, is it satisfying our purpose statement? Is it satisfying why we're doing what we're doing? Did we make the sausage right in the process? Did it come out the way we wanted it to come out? You know, and this is one example where, you know, we're kind of on the front end of doing some of these things. We've got a lot more work to do, a lot more innovation that's coming forward right now, but we're heading in the right direction. So this is sort of validation, an example of a validation that we had at Liquibox I thought I'd share with you guys. We want you to order more stuff. So just quickly, I won't spend a lot of time on this because we've been talking about why, how, and what, but how it all comes together. You know, we talked about the golden circle. We talked about purpose statements. You know, again, our why, to inspire change so we create a safer, more sustainable future. How we do it, what we do, flexible liquid packaging and dispensing solutions. We make filling machines. We do all of the injection molding parts as well with membranes that go on this. But again, that's just making the sausage so we can achieve our why. And it all sits atop of a foundation of our corporate values. And, you know, we talked about culture just a minute ago. For us, it's all about the commitment, the innovation, and the responsibility that we have as employees of the business to be able to achieve that why statement. And so, you know, we talk about that a lot. We show this graphic a lot. And I know you see this a lot with your companies as well. And as you've probably been working in different environments, you see that. But I just wanted to share with you kind of what it looks like for us. So you heard this, teamwork makes the dream work. Been talking about purpose-driven work today a little bit. And it's important to us and to me that we're not just showing up every day and going through the motions. We as a company at Liquibox have to provide purpose-driven work. And then we ask you as employees to show up with a purpose, to get something done. And to me, that combined with a culture of inclusion and diversity, you know, the right culture, is really something to get passionate about. And we see it across our company. And we put a few pictures here. We do a lot of ice cream machines. We do a lot of fun stuff. We have a plant in Nitra, Slovakia, and they hire drones to do all kinds of, you know, to fly over the top of their family events that they have there. And none of this is worth it unless you can really feel like you're making an impact and driving forward and really enjoying what you're doing. Right? You've heard the statements. It's not a job if you love what you do. I do believe that. I think that's true. And I think there's a lot of fun stuff here in the packaging business. Like I said at the beginning, that a lot of exciting things to get passionate about, a lot of fun things to do. And I see the culture changing in the business for the better. And I see a lot of purpose-driven activities going on around the packaging industry right now from a lot of different businesses. And it's really, really exciting stuff. So selfishly, I'll ask you now and probably later that I'd love for you guys to consider Liquibox as you think about careers if you haven't already chosen one. So, you know, put this picture in your memory that, you know, hopefully we'll see you in one of these in the future. Okay, so let me bring it to a close so we can at least open it up and get to maybe some other dialogue about the business. So find your purpose in packaging and inspire change for a better future. So let me tell one more story, if I may, before I close. And that's really starting out with lead with purpose. And what do I mean by leading with purpose? So I'll ask another show of hands since, has anybody heard of the wildebeest migration that happens in the Serengeti once a year? Anybody? Okay, we got it. All right. So there's a few that haven't heard it. So I'm going to go ahead and tell the story. And I think it's what I would call leading with purpose. And so you may have seen on National Geographic or somewhere along the way that every year in the Serengeti, the wildebeest over there have to cross the Mara River. And the reason they have to cross the Mara River is because they eat up all the food. And so they deplete the food source on one side of the river, and they have to get across to the other side of the river where the food is, you know, and then they go back and forth, you know, as they continue to eat. And so it sounds easy enough, cross the river, get to the food, but the Mara River is absolutely loaded with crocodiles. And so every year, crocodiles eat several wildebeest as they cross the river. But I have to tell you, as I watch this on YouTube videos, and I've seen it a few times now, it's pretty clear and obvious that the wildebeest that have a purpose, they get to the edge of the river and they charge like heck across the river to the other side. Never do those wildebeest get eaten. Never. They have a purpose. They get to the other side, they start eating the food. It's the wildebeest that sort of, not sure what they want to do. They're kind of lagging behind. They're following. They see the other guys lead, other wildebeest lead to the other side, and they wade into the river. And guess what happens? The crocodiles have dinner. So what I would say here is we have a real opportunity in packaging to stand for and take action on something bigger than the products and services that we make. We're really driving innovation. We're really driving change in this business. Don't be the wildebeest that gets eaten. Get across this river. Get going. Let's do it. There's a lot of fun and exciting things that we can do together here. I've seen it change pretty dramatically over the last 30 years that I've been in the business. It's been a heck of a lot of fun. In fact, I have, my daughter is now in the packaging business, trying to get my son to move in the packaging business at some time. We'll see what happens with that, but it's really an exciting place to be. I'm not done yet, but I'm really exciting to see the changes that are happening, and also excited about this emerging leadership council and the people that are involved in the Flexible Packaging Association right now. It is absolutely our future, and it's an exciting place to be. So I will stop talking and just thank you for the time today, short and sweet. Appreciate you putting up with a few stories, and maybe open it up for a few questions. If anybody has any questions or comments, or if there's anything you want to know about packaging. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I probably have seen it at some point happen along the way. So if anybody is want to ask anything about anything, happy to try to answer it.
All right,
I have-
guys.
Sorry, I have a quick question. So
Sure.
you obviously seem pretty passionate about, the packaging industry. Do you have like a specific moment or experience you had that was that aha moment? This is what I love to do, and keeps you coming back every day.
What a great question. I've probably had a few aha moments. I tried to get out of the packaging business a couple of times along the way. One of those was my days at Pliant, to bring that back up, because it was just a challenging environment. But also I had probably an aha moment there as well, that I realized we were actually providing products that were making a difference. And, I saw that happen, a couple of times in my career. And when I saw that really happen, as an example, in COVID-19, was another more recent moment, that, we were providing products that were delivering water to places that, couldn't get it for whatever reasons, or we were providing products that went into ventilators, with our injection molding products. And it really was an aha moment for me that, this isn't just, hey, we're making a product that can preserve and protect food or beverage or that sort of thing. It really is making a difference, and it's important. It's essential. It's critical. And so I've seen a few of those moments, Melissa, along the way. I don't know if there's exactly one specific. I think I probably had several that sort of confirmed that we are changing the world in some way. Maybe it's a small way, but we are changing the world. And I think we're changing it a lot more than an Apple iPhone. And by the way, I'm an Apple supporter. I have an iPhone, but I think we're doing things that are changing the world a lot more than that. And some of the sustainable things that's going on right now, some of the amazing stuff that used to be in a different vessel that is now in a flexible package. I mean, eat tuna today, out of a flexible package. Who would have thought tuna would be in a flexible package, or some of the other things that are going into stand-up pouches and different things today? It's pretty amazing. So hopefully that answers your question. I think just along the way that there was just some aha moments when I realized that the products we were providing were really making an improvement to the way people live their lives.
Well, thank you. Yep.
You got it. Anyone else?
Ken, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So my question is, how did you originally, what was your background getting involved in flexible packaging? And then also, how have your goals or motivations changed as you've sort of climbed the managerial ladder?
Yeah, great question. So I started out right out of college in an advertising business in Los Angeles. I knew after about 3 days that wasn't for me. I just felt it. It just wasn't the kind of environment I wanted to be in. So I joined a business, maybe by accident, an injection molding business. I started working for a company called BASF and was based in Europe. And I was living in Huntington Beach, California, a few blocks from the beach. Would wake up, go down to the beach, having a great life. And I decided to take this job moving over to Europe, moving over to the north part of England. And for the first 6 months I was there, I never saw the sun. It rained almost every single day. But having said that, I knew that, hey, this packaging thing was pretty exciting. I kind of saw the different ways that this plastic resin was being used. And I quickly got then into started moving up the stream. I got into a film extrusion business called CT Film. Some of you may remember that if you're old enough, and CT Film was owned by Huntsman Petrochemical Company. And then that turned into Pliant over the years through different acquisitions and different things. But along the way, the thing that sort of kept me excited about it, it was constantly changing. And I was in a sales role is where I started. Starting customer service first, then went to sales, inside sales, then outside sales, then got into some operations roles because somebody taught me one time, they said, I was complaining about operations that day. I was actually, I was a sales manager. I was complaining that operations team didn't know what they were doing. They couldn't get me the product I needed. These guys were terrible. And about a week later, my boss's boss said, congratulations, you're now in operations. And if you want to stay with this company, you now own operations. So all those things you said needed to improve, now you can improve them. Knock yourself out. And I thought about quitting. Like, I'm not putting up with this garbage. And I stayed, and it was the best decision I made because I learned a lot about what went on in operations, which made me a better salesperson. And then at that time, as things were changing, opportunities open up. I got to say, there's so many opportunities in this business right now, as you look around, because businesses are changing so much. And there's opportunities. So opportunities became available. And then I also moved from California to Virginia, to try to help grow a business. At that time, was before Pliant, but, try to grow the business. And so I guess my comment to you would be, try to do as many different things as you can. If you want to continue to move up to a more managerial role, if that's your purpose and that's what you want to do as many different things as you can while you're young, and get that experience, no matter what it is or where it is. I can't emphasize enough. I tell people, that's a good job, but I don't want to leave Chicago, or I don't want to leave Virginia. And I would just tell them, it isn't going to be forever. Take the opportunities as they come available to you, because you will learn a heck of a lot that maybe you don't see initially. And that's what happened with me. I learned a lot along the way. I moved to a couple of different places and, got an opportunity to work for a couple of different companies as they were acquired or got acquired, as we did acquiring. I got to learn some different formulas that people were using that were helpful. And then we got acquired and we got to learn some different things. And I found out, at the beginning, I didn't think that I wanted to run a business. But then I thought I could really help, because I just felt like I had some things I could offer. And, and it just turned into a great opportunity. And I got to tell you, last thing, it wouldn't happen without mentors in the business. I have about 4 mentors in packaging that I still call today and ask questions about what should I do. And one's a CEO. Actually, two of them are CEOs in the packaging business. I won't say their name because you guys will know them, and then they'll get a big head. One of them already has a big head, but I don't want it to get any bigger. But I still call that individual up and say, hey, what did you do here, or what can I do? I'm having trouble. Labor was one. I just called a bunch of folks around and say, hey, we're having trouble hiring some labor. What are you guys doing? And it doesn't happen. To me, I wouldn't have been successful with anything unless you can't reach out to somebody that you trust and that you admire some of the things that they've done, and just ask them and tell them that, hey, I really admire what you've done here. I think you've done a good job here. I'd like to model what I'm doing after what you did. Tell me how you do that. I guarantee you people will help you a lot more than you think. So don't hesitate to do that. And you're not putting anybody out. You're not being a pain in the neck. Don't feel like you are. Pick up the phone or, send a text and say, hey, I could use 5 minutes of your time. Tell me how you did this. And I think people will be happy to share that information. So I certainly will. So if anybody has any questions as you guys make decisions, take my email address or phone number, and happy to talk to you.
All right. Thank you very much.
You got it. Good luck.
Other questions? I want to call on some people that we haven't heard from in a little while. Hey, Becca, questions or anything to share from this summer on kind of your internship experience as it relates to being purpose-driven?
I try to think for a second. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything right now, but if you come back to me in a minute, I can give you something.
Perfect. I'm going to
So
call
let me
on.
ask,
Yeah.
hang on a second. I'm just scrolling through a few of the names here, and I see a couple of people, at least one, that I think they are a second or third generation in the business. And I just want to confirm that's the case. So, so I see our love. Print Pack?
Yes, I do work Print Pack. Yes, sir.
And is it your father or mother that is, are you a second, third, fourth generation?
I played fifth. No, I'm just kidding. My dad, it's Dennis. He's retired now, but.
Okay. Yep. I know Dennis well. And so I call him Jimmy. You probably don't call him Jimmy, but is Jimmy your uncle?
He is. And I guess a question that just kind of popped up for you is, some of the old timers around here talk about like the 80s and 90s as like the growth age, and it wasn't as competitive, the margins were better, and the last 15 years have been a little bit more of a squeeze as it gets. But do you see the sustainability thing maybe increasing opportunity and being able to not, obviously it's going to help the environment, but also be good for financially for a lot of companies too?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do see it heading down that way. Anytime you can reduce the amount of plastic or get into a product that maybe can reduce the supply chain costs of delivering that, and also the at the end of life scenario, right? In the case that we're in for a lot of packages today, a lot of that waste, a lot of that product gets collected, at a McDonald's or wherever it might be. In our case, maybe a McDonald's, and it goes on a certain path to the landfill in a lot of cases, directly to the landfill. And so this allows it a different path, when we can create other options, other scenarios, and there's a value to that for sure. And I can tell you, McDonald's sees that, Wendy's sees that, and a lot of other businesses are seeing the value that brings. So I do think that there's opportunity as we continue to innovate in this area, that competitiveness you're talking about, which I definitely confirm that's been the case. in a lot of products. But as people innovate into structures that maybe use less materials or have a different path, and can show that those things can lower the overall cost from start to finish, that's going to create some value. And you don't have to go far to look at every, top CPG out there now has sort of drawn a line in the sand and said, I'm going to be X%, I'm going to buy X% recyclable packaging by 2025 or 2030. And so they've, a lot of companies have said, here's what we are going to do. We don't know how we're going to do it yet, but here's what we are going to do. And we need help from the packaging community to get there. And they're going to be open to sort of paying more, maybe the simplest way to say it, for that value. They're going to invest more money into achieving those goals that they want to achieve as a company. So long answer to your question, but I do see real opportunity to meet those goals of the customers that we're supplying with a lot of this packaging.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Ken, for doing this. And it's been great to get, outside perspectives. And, sometimes I guess for all us interns, we kind of get, put the tunnel vision on in our companies and just learn about, liquid packaging, which is something that I really appreciate you taking the time.
You got it. And please give my best to your dad and uncle. I got to tell you, your business is probably has, you probably heard more stories about the history of flexible packaging over the years than anybody here on this call, for sure, including me. So you've got a storied history, and I would tell you, you probably maybe have rolled your eyes a few times along the way, but really cherish that, because you'll be able to tell those things to the next generation.
Yes, sir. Thanks. That's great. That's great advice.
You got it. Anyone else?
Ken, which other last names you recognize?
I'm trying to see if I can see. Is there a way to see all the names in one screen?
Yeah, hit the participants button at the bottom if you have it, and then it should pop open.
Let me see here. Let me see if I can get out of this.
Or
here.
to the intern group. Anybody here? Want to step up to the podium? Maybe if you're second or third generation packaging.
No.
No. Okay.
Okay. I thought I saw a couple, but no problem. Quinn, you've been in this business 30 years now, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm third generation, but no, I just wanted to say, really appreciate you you taking the time and spending it with this group. And I could not agree more with the excitement around knowing that the products in which we produce and we bring to the consumer, at the end of the day, we make everyday life possible. And that's some of the most exciting parts of what we do. And at the end of the, also, this group is the future. And that's what I know gets me excited, and I totally agree. And you called out, I was going to ask you that mentor question, because I mean, I've said to you in the past, and I don't think I've said to this group, but one of my closest and greatest mentors that I've had in my career came from Pliant. And it's somebody that he hired me, but I maybe forced him to then be the long-term mentor that he's become. But I would tell everybody to be bold. And if you see somebody that is demonstrating and showing you that they are a type of person that you want to aspire to be as blunt as possible, and let them know that you view them as a mentor, that you look up to them. Because if you're that clear and transparent with somebody, I don't know anybody that wouldn't take that as a compliment and wouldn't take that seriously, especially within the industry. And I think, like Ken has said, and you've heard me say this, I will always be a phone you can call, an email you can send. And that, I think, is probably one of the most exciting things about this industry is we all look out for each other. And I think that if I called Ken still today, he'd still have my back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Please do that. Reach out to people. Like you said, be bold about it. We're looking to share some information, and I can be long-winded. It may have to be over a beer or something, but it's okay.
But I think I know who that mentor with the big head is, and we'll just leave that one out of this.
We are being recorded, just letting you know, Jonathan. So,
he knows who he is. We'll just let him.
Yeah.
Now, it's a lot of fun. So lastly, I would just say, have fun. That's what it's all about. We're not, it's not life or death. We're not doing brain surgery or heart surgery here. We are making a difference, which is important, but it's also important to have a little bit of fun. And I actually think that's where the most breakthrough innovation comes from, is when you're really enjoying it, you really have a passion to get up. When you're really passionate about something, you lose sleep at night just thinking about, I can't wait to get up the next morning to solve this problem or to do that or get back around those people that I'm working on some things with. And that's what I found in packaging. And I think you can too, if you haven't already. I would encourage you to seek it out. And if you don't know where to go, come to Liquibox. We're hiring.
Awesome. Well, Ken, thank you so much. That was great. The hour flew by. So sincerely appreciate it. Okay, so intern team, just a couple wrapping comments. Just like I said in the beginning, we'll have our small group sessions next week. Look out for the last meeting invite from your small group leader. And then, we'll wrap up on the 13th. But for those of you guys that have your final day today, we wish you the best. Glad you chose the flexible packaging industry to spend your summer. I wasn't smart enough to know how vibrant and exciting this industry was. In your shoes, for the ones that are seniors, share a personal story. I graduated right at the recession, 2009, when the banking industry collapsed. And I wrapped up that internship, and I had no idea heading into my senior year what the heck I was going to do. So you guys have made better decisions than I, for sure. So, and I'll certainly talk to you anytime you'd like about how this industry's the best industry to choose. I mean, I tried to leave a couple of years ago, and I came, boomeranged back. So,
but Apurva, who was the first one that really get you excited about it?
It was you, yeah.
I can die a happy man.
So, but Amy, you have an awesome story, and have had so much exposure to a few different companies. Abby, you as well. I think you tried to retreat and you came back as well. Casey has an awesome story. Your small group leaders, all of them were picked because of that story, on why they chose it and why they may have left and come back, or maybe why they chose another industry and then came to the flexible packaging industry. So when you guys do spend your last hour with your small group leaders, certainly talk a little bit about, what you're thinking, what's on your mind in terms of what to do as you guys wrap up your time at college and pick an industry and pick a place to start building a career. So, Amy, anything else we may have missed?
No, I think that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. And if it is your last week or in the coming days is your last day, make sure that you take our contact information with you, and then put your alternate email address in the spreadsheet. That's really important. We'd like to keep up with you and send you some wrap-up information.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, guys. Happy Friday. Have an awesome weekend.
Have a
Thanks,
good
guys.
weekend, guys.